Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to Italy. My name is Aurora and you are on the Vintage Weekends. Well, today I'm doing a very special video because yes, I'm doing this crazy thing. I'm buying a vintage car and I really need to make up my mind about it and to know your opinion about this. I am not an expert, so I'm not going to focus on technical details, which, by the way, I know nothing about. I'm just in love with vintage cars. I think they have a gorgeous design, and that's why today we are going to do the list of 5 pros and cons of buying a vintage car, and then you're going to help me to decide which car I should buy. So at the end of this video I will show you the 3 models that I chose, and you will tell me which one is your favorite. If you know me, I know that you're thinking about, where is my cat? Here she is. Okay, let's start with the list of pros and cons. The first one is a pro, and is that vintage cars are beautiful. That's true, you can't deny it. Every time you see an old car in a movie or in a photo, you think that people in the past had a great taste for design, which, I don't know, maybe we've lost nowadays. And I just love them. But there is a cons. They're pricey, and in the last years here in Italy the vintage cars market has increased its prices a lot, and good occasions are always harder to find, but I know that out there I will find what I'm looking for, and I'm not discouraged. Another pro is that they are protagonists. I mean, when you're driving a vintage car, everybody will notice it. And at the supermarket, in a parking, on the highway, vintage cars are so different and everybody will turn its head to have a look. So if you're a shy person, I suggest not buying like a yellow vintage car, because everybody will look at you. But I mean, for me, this is a positive thing. But vintage cars are not ecological. Vintage cars need so much more fuel than the new ones and have less filters. That's the sad thing. They contribute to air pollution. They are definitely not the most ecological car that you could choose. But I think that most of the owners use their vintage cars to make small treats, and only during the weekends, and for the rest of the week, I mean, you could use an electric car, so you can compensate your emissions. Another pro is that vintage cars are an investment. You know that when you buy a new car, I mean, a modern one, once you bought it, its value will instantly decrease. Immediately. On the opposite, if you buy a vintage car, it will keep its value, or maybe it will even increase it in time. But vintage cars need more attention. I mean, you've got to be very careful, because the older is the car, the more fragile it will be. And I'm not only speaking about accidents, I'm talking also about rust, humidity, sun rays, the wear out of plastic parts, and every repair will cost you some money. So you've got to be careful and keep your car always dry and covered. Like in your garage, you need space to keep it. Yeah, that's difficult. But here is another pro. They are a piece of history. The most fascinating thing about having a vintage car, I think, that it's that there has been someone in the past who designed every piece of it, and this makes it an historic, valuable piece. Probably yours is not the only one, but for each model there are only some thousands or maybe hundreds in the entire world which have survived through time. So the truth is that if you own a vintage car, you are preserving history, and I think that this is a great value. Another thing that you have to consider is that vintage cars need maintenance and repair. It's hard to find the spare parts. So if you're planning to buy a vintage car, you've got to check the availability of spare parts and their price, because you will surely need them sometime, unless you're keeping your car inside your garage forever. Another positive thing is that you spare on the taxes, because here in Italy, for example, there are some tax breaks for cars that have more than 20 years, so the insurance is much cheaper than the one that you pay for a new car, and you don't have to pay another like car tax, which I don't know the name in English, but anyway, the taxes are lower, and that's a good thing. Well, another bad thing is that vintage cars are not really easy to drive. The older the car, the harder it is to drive it. And there's no power steering, there's no ABS when you brake, there's no parking assistance. I mean, I will definitely need some training before driving a vintage car. Training for my driving skills and also for my muscles. So this was my list of pros and cons of buying an old vintage car. What do you think? Should I do this crazy thing? Should I buy it or not? I don't know. I'm so in love with them. I think I will do it. Yes. Well, my husband is very passionate about old cars and he already got one. It's a Lancia Tema with a beautiful platinum color. It's a very elegant car and sometimes we use it to go out during the weekend. But now I'm choosing a car that's more in my style. So the design has to be more rounded and sporty and colorful. So let's pass to the second part of this video and let me tell you what is my dream car. First of all, I'd like it to be an Italian car, so it has to be by some brands like Fiat or Lancia or Alfa Romeo. I think I like sport cars like a Coupè or a Spider, which can be convertible because I'd like to use it in spring or in summer, and I would like it to be colored, very colored, like red, blue or yellow. And I'm in love with the 3 different models. The first one is the Lancia Fulvia. I saw it for the first time some years ago when I knew nothing about vintage cars. Not that nowadays I know more. Well, and when I saw it I thought, wow, that's a nice car. And the owner told me very proudly,
do you know what it is? It's a Lancia Fulvia.
And I still remember it. It was a beautiful car. It was like love at first sight. But at that time I didn't know many models, and then I discovered the second love of my life, that is the Fiat 124 Spider. I saw it at a car meeting last summer. It was at the Garda Lake in a beautiful place. Its name is Bardolino, and I went there with my friends for this car meeting. There were many Fiat cars, but every time I spotted the 124 I was like, oh, there's another one, and there's another one. I was so excited. I loved it so much. And they had amazing bright colors and had the top down. It made me think of vacations on the road with the wind in my hair. That's it. And the third model that I love is the Alfa Romeo Duetto, which is a convertible car too. It's pretty similar to the 124 Spider, and it is another famous designer vintage car. You can find it in many colors, bright colors, which I love, and I mean, that's the third love. So now I'd really like to know your opinion about my preferences. Here I'm gonna put the photos of them. It's the Lancia Fulvia, the Fiat 124 Spider and the Alfa Romeo Duetto. Tell me in the comments which one is your favorite one and help me decide which car I should buy. Well, that is all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Here we speak about vintage things like clothes, accessories, home decor, and from today, cars. In the info box you find the link of my Instagram page. If you want to follow me there, there's some extra contents that I publish every week. Here in the channel I'm posting a new video every week, or I'm trying. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you at the next Vintage Weekend. Bye!